This past weekend saw the real-world NASCAR Cup Series drivers take on Michigan International Speedway, and with the combination of hungry drivers and the current aero package, it created for some very hectic racing. Tonight, however, we take the hungry drivers and stock cars to another D-shaped oval. This time, it's in Southern California, as the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series storms into Auto Club Speedway. Up in the booth tonight, it's going to be Sam Ryman, and he's joining yours truly, Nick Schmeg. Joe Peak will be our director, and as always, he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sam, until the current package got put on these cars, this track never really used to raise this many eyebrows. Tell our viewers a little more about this venue.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, Nick, under the old package, there's not a whole lot of banking on this track. So even though it's 2 miles in length, there weren't really a whole lot of passing opportunities or side-by-side racing aside from the restarts. There was a lot of speed, though. Well, what they've done, obviously, the NASCAR, the latest package, the engine power has kind of been restricted a little bit. The cars have been slowed down, and that's created a lot more side-by-side racing, a lot more flat-out racing, especially at this 2-mile circuit. They might not be flat out throughout the whole run, especially as dirty air plays its role, but I think we're going to see some excitement out there, certainly today, in this 60-lap race. And let's give you an idea of what this track is like with our GSRC lap guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. My name is Brian Yazek and I'll be taking you for a spin around Auto Club Speedway out in sunny California. Auto Club Speedway is a relatively flat D-shaped 2-mile oval that gives these drivers a ton of room to work with, and it's a ton of fun to drive around. So, without further ado, off we go for your hot lap. You're going to be keeping it really low throughout the front stretch here, and you're going to be looking for your sign to brake. We're somewhere between the 1 and the 2. The key here is going to be to find the bottom of the speedway. Get all the way down to that white line, get back into the gas, and you're going to look to drive it straight off of the corner, aiming right for that wall where it starts to transition on colors. The back stretch is fairly bumpy, but it can still lead to some 3-wide action. Turn 3, look to brake right about where the 3 sign is. If you want to get in early, you can push it all the way down to about the 2 or the 1 if you're really feeling brave. Same situation off of turn 4, just keeping it pushed wide out. And then for your hot lap, you're going to be actually driving right down here onto the apron, shortest way around the speedway. Now, once the tires burn off, you are going to see drivers all over this speedway. And right here, you can run all the way up into this 3rd seam here in 1 and 2, really let the car rotate, and it lets you gas it up to get a great run off of the backstretch, but you can't gas it up too quick because you get a little loose, just like I did right there. Once again, heading down the backstretch, staring at turn 3 off into the sunset, you're going to be looking to shoot to that 2nd or 3rd seam right here, and same situation as 1 and 2. Let it rotate, find the gas, and drive it straight off the corner. It's going to give you a huge head of steam heading down the start-finish line to set up a pass into turn number 1. California Speedway is a ton of fun to the drivers just because you can run all over the place, and the track can support about 4 wide. Will we see that today? Well, that's what we're going to find out. My name was Brian Yazek, and this was a lap around the Auto Club Speedway.
You see a couple laps around the track here in Fontana, California, Auto Club Speedway, but it's in the Cup car, and we had these drivers, the Sim Racers for Mental Health. We had the Truck Series on last season. They've come back here for another season with a partial schedule with us. Love to have them back here, but this time it's with the Cup car. A lot more power, a lot bigger field as well. So since we do have a new series, a lot of our viewers are going to want to know the series details. And Sam, I believe you have those for us.
Yeah, and we'll bring those up on screen for you. It is going to be a 60-lap race here today for round number 3 of the season. Fixed setup and restricted fuel load. That means they will have to make a stop or two. Odds are with the flat bank in here that they'll probably be in anytime they have a long run and get a caution. They do get bonus points awarded if you knock off some achievements. If you're if you're running in the top 10 at the halfway point, you'll get some bonus points. If you win the race, of course, you get some bonus points. Lead the lap or lead the most laps, you get 1 point as well. No free repairs in this series, so if you're in a wreck, you've got to go down pit road and try and get the fenders pulled out. The nice thing about, of course, about this 2-mile track is you get time to do that and probably not lose too many laps.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Sam. And we do have some points for these drivers as well. They kicked off the season with Daytona, then they went to Atlanta. Instead of the Truck Series schedule, which was completely randomized, we do have a little bit more of a traditional looking championship schedule going on for these guys as we head to Auto Club for the third race of the season. Jalen Battle has the points lead despite not winning. Yes, Stephen O'Hare there, 15 points back. Tie for third place, Billy Kruska and Jared Young. Jody Banfield and Lee Banks there in fifth. Josh Walker, Steve Durbin the winner at Daytona, and Dylan Martin, Brandon Carr, they each moved a couple of positions there in 9th and 10th. That's important because the top 10 at the end of the 8-race regular season will make the 6-race playoff schedule as well in the postseason. So that part similar with the Truck Series last year. Looks like practice here on the track wrapping up in about 4 minutes, so we'll be able to get an idea of who is fast. Looks like Robert DeKemper right now on top with Jared Mogard in second, who was last week's winner at Atlanta.
Yeah, the practice times obviously are quite close because they can do this track flat out, so it's probably being dependent on who gets the best slipstream. It also means that when we get the qualifying, the lap times are going to be very close. Now, I was looking up and down our entry list for tonight's race, when we were just having a look there at the championship standings, and it looks like most of the drivers running towards the top end of the championship are here, so it's nice to see, a few rounds into the season, we're still getting not only good participation, but the regulars coming back and hopefully shaping up for a good championship battle late in the season. Like you say, we got 3 minutes left of practice now, and then we have a 5-minute qualifying session where each driver will have the track to themselves to set their 2 best laps, and then we will be going racing here for 60 laps tonight.
Absolutely. Going to be fun. We expect a lot of pack racing, especially at the beginning when tires are still in full-fledged usage. Especially with a big field, it's going to be very interesting to see. A lot of dirty air has to get manipulated. And another thing to point out here, Sam, is that unlike the real NASCAR drivers, we are running at Fontana at night.
Yeah, it's, it is night here on the East Coast. I don't think the sun's gone down on the West Coast yet. But, in the real world, if we would have to wait for the sun to go down on the West Coast, the people on the East Coast would have to be watching NASCAR at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the morning. Not everyone can make that, and I, unfortunately, am putting on some years, and I think I fall into that category nowadays. But hopefully you'll stay up for this race. It's 60 laps, so it's going to be a bit of a sprint. And look at that wind there, Nick. Very heavy wind coming from the southwest. Obviously, these are fairly heavy cars, and the walls kind of break that wind up a little bit, so it might not affect them too much, but something to bear in mind.
Absolutely. It looks like it's gusting here in SoCal, down here just outside San Bernardino here in California, in Fontana. Looks like a lot of these drivers we saw moments ago, before the broadcast started, a lot of drivers out there pack racing here in practice. You can, as we're watching Rachel Hunt here, look at just how bouncy the track really makes the cars. So many bumps here in this track.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some cars who are still out on track practice pit entry. That's one thing that I particularly like to do at the end of a long practice session like this, just in case you have some green flag stops. Auto Club Speedway isn't a stranger to green flag runs, but as you mentioned, Nick, we're probably going to see some pack racing tonight, because throw into another factor, as we mentioned, it's night. And when it's nighttime, the track's cooler, it's got more grip, you don't have to lift as much, and that means we'll almost be seeing a bit of a, restrictor plate style race, what we used to see at Daytona and Talladega.
A lot of the drivers in modern NASCAR have compared this package at these kinds of tracks to kind of that old school Daytona back in the 70s or 80s, where it would be very reliant on the draft, but not as much side by side. You just have to form your runs and manipulate the dirty air, and it would be very fascinating to watch. We're going to see it tonight, and it's going to be a fun race, I have a feeling. 60 laps around Auto Club. They also have a 75% fuel limit here, and this is especially a thirsty track, I'd like to think.
Yeah, definitely with them being wide open on the fuel. And of course, the problem with these bigger tracks is that if you are a lap or two short on fuel, there's not a whole lot you can do because you have to run flat out to be competitive. So if you lift off the gas, you're going to lose, you're going to lose a bit of time. And also, a lap around here is 2 miles. So if you're 2 laps short, you've got to make up 4 miles of fuel. It's a lot easier to make up 2 laps of fuel at a place such as Bristol. Anyway, you can see practice has ended and qualifying is starting. Let's get these lap times in.
And qualifying is very fascinating with this style of car that they drive now. It's flat out, or at least that's the goal. It's a lot of times, a lot of people saying these cars are easy to drive. Well, handling it does become quite an issue when you take these turns flat out. The car likes to swing around the backside, and you do have to have a great deal of car control still, even with just 550 horsepower and that high downforce on these cars. I'm sure a lot of drivers are going to stay up high for the first lap and maybe take it down almost like an IndyCar line around the bottom, that second lap.
Yeah, normally you think, you'd go all the way up high on the straights on your second lap, your faster lap, your qualifying lap to try and make it count. But of course, the thing is, the radius of these turns are so large, and because of the tapered spaces, the power's down a little bit, that you can probably get away with running all the way down on the inside lane on your second lap and not lose a whole lot of time, not be scrubbing off a whole lot of speed in the corners.
As long as you don't hit the wall, because a 0x will disqualify your time. The first qualifying lap is when that's going to be a little bit more likely to have happen, unless you're really overdriving it on that second lap. But shouldn't make a difference because your second lap should be faster here. Watching Matthew Rodriguez, one of the newcomers to this series. He's going to be the first driver to set a lap. It's a 40.4.
Yeah, the first laps don't mean a whole lot, though. They're just getting up to speed laps. Honestly, sometimes I think at a track where your second lap is one counts, you want to have a slower first lap because that means you're running high.
Just enough to get these cars up to speed. Definitely not as fast as we've seen some of these cars before. It's not like you're heading into turns 1 and turn 3 at 210 miles an hour, but with the draft, it certainly is going to feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, they're still getting up at 180 miles an hour, and that's while they're out there on their own. Like you say, once we group them all up together, and now you can see the lap times starting to fall. Everyone who started their qualifying attempts at the start of qualifying pretty much crossed the line at the same time. Some drivers had hung in the pits a little bit, so we're not completely done with the laps right now. But if we were, it would be Colton Lane sitting on provisional pole with a 40.086.
Colton Lane just wrapped up a nice run in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series that just broadcasted on GSRC. He said in the comments he's pulling double duty. He's doing a fine job of that so far, starting up at least on the front row at the best here, because Jeffrey McClintock has also gone to the pole, about 4 1,000ths faster in the 5 car.
Yeah, very close times at the front of the field. The drivers sitting in 7th and 8th right now are tied. Like we say, though, we still got some other drivers out there trying to knock them down. Here we get Jared Morgan. There's Robert Ballard. I'm also watching Tony Edmondson is out there on his second lap and entering the last 90 seconds. So we'll know our grid. We'll be racing here soon. And there you see Jared Mogard goes to the top by almost 200ths of a second, which is quite significant seeing how close everyone else has been.
And just 1,000th faster than McClintock is Rachel Hunt. That'll put her car on the front row for now.
As a matter of fact, 2nd through 7th covered by 100th of a second.
Wow.
Which, yeah, and Jared Mogard is 200ths faster than all of them.
That just shows you just how close these drivers are in terms of pace.
There we go.
Battle.
Jalen Battle. 3,000ths to the top.
The current points leader.
And Durbin, so these drivers who waited in the pits, I don't know what they were doing, Nick, if they knew the track would cool down, or maybe they were burning fuel sitting in the pits so their car would be lighter. But we've seen a lot of drivers who waited in the pits to start their run, putting laps in at the end of a session and knocking the rest of the field down.
They have done a fine job of getting up there when it mattered. Just a couple seconds ticking down now in qualifying. It looks like Steven Durbin, your winner a couple weeks ago at Daytona in the season opener, he's going to be going for win number 2, because it looks like he is going to have the pole position. In second place, it's going to be Jalen Battle, the points leader, but he has yet to find victory lane this season. He's wanting to change that tonight. He wants to go to that checkered flag semicircle there in the infield. Jared Mogard and Rachel Hunt, they're going to be making up row number 2. Jeffrey McClintock and Brandon Anderson, one of the last season's drivers, going to be making up row number 3. 7th and 8th go to Cole Bushman and Billy Kruska, with Colton Lane and Rob Kenny going to be rounding out your top 10.
Jonathan Lazelle will be starting in 11th place ahead of Evan Rice, Blake Trawick, and Matthew Rodriguez. So on row number 12, Jamal Poe, it starts back in 15th ahead of TJ Maguire. Armando Ortiz is back in 17th place ahead of Tom Bourne. Rounding out the top 20 are Robert DeCamper and Jared Young.
It's going to be Lee Banks in the number 18 back in 21st, alongside Jordan McAvoy in the 7th. Stephen O'Hare and Bronson Stafford are going to be making up row number 12. Top 25 rounded up by the 43 of Tony Edmondson. Back in the 98 machine, it's the Californian driver Jody Banfield in 26th, followed by Jack Wells, Danny Banfield, Corey Blevins, and Brandon Carr to round out the top 30.
In 31st position will be William Van Alstyne, and alongside him will be Todd Slawson. Tyler Foti will be starting from 33rd place ahead of Scott Ricard. Dylan Martin will start 35th ahead of Robert Ballard, and Brandon Jackson was the last car to turn the time in 37th place, not a competitive time, mind you, but we still have more than 37 cars. We got Matt Grunberg, Stephen Llewellyn, Jason Stewart, Josh Walker, and yes, we even have another page, Brent Jones, and actually another driver that I'm not seeing on my screen. So 42 cars here.
Yeah, it looks like Josh Walker back there in 41st, starting alongside there. Brent Jones. 42 cars, just about an entire field.
Yeah, actually, a couple of those drivers aren't in the session, so that might have been causing the issues I was having. Brandon Anderson and Stephen Llewellyn aren't in the session, nor is Josh Walker. So that tells you, well, we had 41 or 42 cars. We're missing about 3 of them. Pretty much everyone here turned a lap in qualifying.
And this is actually a bigger field than the modern NASCAR Cup drivers would see. But they've got enough pit stalls for it, and we've got enough drivers for it. So let's throw them out on the track and see what happens. Just one pace lap here. Steven Durbin going to be starting on the front row in the 33rd there, or in the 33 machine there, the Toyota Camry. That Chevy Camaro ZL1. Jalen Battle on the outside.
I would say on the first lap here, the inside lane is preferred because everyone's going to be flat out, but really, I think it's going to come down to who in the second row is a better pusher.
Absolutely. We're going to see a very unique Auto Club Speedway here. A little bit of pack racing, a little bit of dirty air manipulation. It's going to maybe look like an open-wheeled race at times. But what it will look like is the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series, round number 3 of the season. Steven Durbin coming in to the green flag. 60 laps remaining for him tonight. He gets on the loud pedal, and right like that, Jalen Battle's going to slide down right in front of him. They're going to storm into turn number 1 completely flat out on the gas.
Top 4 get single file straight away, and in fact I'd say about the top 7, the cars left up high are going backwards. Robert Kenny's one of those. He started 8th, he's already back to about 11th, but now they fan out a little bit as the drivers get a run. Jalen Battle looking to the inside of Steven Durbin. He wants to lead lap 1. Remember, that's worth a bonus point in this series.
And Jared Mogard's going to come down there as well. Watch for him to get a run out of turn number 4. Really washing up the track is the 33 of Steven Durbin. He's almost making for a fourth lane there, but side by side at the line, it looks like Jalen Battle by 0.02 of a second going to lead lap number 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure quite where Steve Durbin was going, but he's going backwards. And there's a caution, trouble further back in the pack. We've got some cars wrecking. Trying to work out who caused that. I think there were a couple other cars that clipped them. Here we are.
Looks like 82 of TJ McGuire. Take a look at this replay here. He's, I think he got tagged by Tom Bourne's number 31 car.
Yeah,
Maybe a little bit of neck code.
You see him blinking, but yeah, a couple cars clipped him a little bit as they were going by. I don't think there was any serious damage besides what happened to the 82 there, but it wasn't a single car incident.
Yeah, big damage for the 82. Backed it into the wall there in turn number 2. Loses his rear bumper. And just like that, we've got our first caution tonight at Auto Club Speedway. Comes out on lap number 2.
And a couple of drivers who will be happy about that are Josh Walker and Brandon Anderson. We mentioned they weren't in the session at the start of this race. Well, they have connected, so they might have been having some connection issues or something on their end. This caution, of course, allows them to catch up a little bit.
Couple of big movers on that start. Billy Kruska went from 8th up to 4th. Colton Lane went from 9th to 6th. That was at the expense of some guys like Steve Durbin, who sat on the pole, didn't lead lap 1. He's back in 5th.
Obviously, I can't really imagine anyone... Well, okay, some leaders coming in. That's very surprising.
Looks like Jeffrey McClintock, the first driver to come in the pits. Bob Kenny in the 34. He was running 10th. Looks to be the next one.
I can't imagine this is being done by tires. Maybe it's a fuel thing.
Quite possibly.
These extra laps on fuel could get him, you know, help him out strategy-wise. Because see, some cars I think are taking no tires. Because Jeffrey McClinton was the first taking 4 tires, and he's getting beat by a lot of cars coming out. So yeah, some cars just coming in for a splash of gas that will give them more strategy options later in the race.
Well, 75% fuel limit. And your estimated number of laps with that before running any is about 56, but I don't know if you're going to be able to make it that far. So it's definitely going to help them in terms of reaching that reaching the end of the race on just one stop, and you might as well take it early. However, with these leaders staying out, or most of the leaders, with the exception of Jeffrey McClintock, you're going to have to come back in for tires later, I'd imagine, especially at a track with such high tire degradation like Auto Club.
Yeah, and the other thing is, it's such a large field. We're probably going to have another caution.
Sounds like Jalen Battle actually revving the engine pretty high right now, trying to burn some fuel probably.
Not sure how much I like that strategy, but
might make the car lighter, but you know, losing your engine would also make it lighter.
yeah, it's something we do in the Lionheart IndyCar series.
Yeah.
But the IndyCars are... the IndyCars are much lighter, so, you know, they're a lot more weight dependent. These Cup cars, it doesn't make as much of a difference. It does make some difference. And then the other thing is, it's at the start of a race. Normally, if you're going to burn fuel, it's when you're getting to the end of a race and, you know, there's no fuel crisis. Here, I think you want as much fuel as you can have to, like I say, keep your strategy options open. The cars that weren't able to make a start of a race have been getting wave around, so hopefully we should have all 40 cars that were here for the start on the lead lap. checking in on TJ Maguire, the 82 who brought out the caution. He is sitting in the pits, but that means he's not out of a race. Obviously, the nice thing about such a large track as what we have here is he can get a lot of repairs, and there he goes, and he might be able to stay on the lead lap, if not only lose a lap or two, which he could easily get back if we have some more cautions.
Leaders coming up to lap number 6 here. Caution flags, caution laps here like to take quite a while, about a minute 43, minute 45.
Yeah, and of course, with those cars missing the start, we had some lap traffic at the start of a race, and anytime you have lap traffic, that extends the caution a little bit. But the lights are off, and we will be going back to green at the completion of lap 6 with 54 laps to go.
It's going to be Jalen Battle on the inside here of Jared Mogard on the outside. Jared Mogard in that 00. Very big name in last season's Sim Racers for Mental Health Truck Series. Found a lot of success there. Jalen Battle, kind of a newcomer.
And a lot due, I think, to the pit stops. We have had some big movers in the field so far, even after only a couple of laps. The driver who started 22nd, Jordan McAvoy, he is up to 12th already. The driver behind him, Jack Wells, started 27th, is up to 13th. Behind him, Todd Slauson, started 32nd, up to 14th. Now, granted, a lot of this could have been done through the pits, but it's just more evidence that even if you are at the back right now, don't count those drivers out. A lot can happen here in the next 54 laps.
For sure. And last restart, we got a great start from row number 2. That's Billy Kruska down in 3rd, and it's Stephen Durbin in 4th.
One car in the grass back there, that was that's Jamal Poe. Not really sure. Don't like that strategy, but we're getting back going racing here.
We are indeed. The green flag flies once again. Jalen Battle on the loud pedal. Down on the bottom side. Not a great start like we kind of predicted from Jared Mogard, but it's a good enough start to get down onto the bottom lane. Jalen Battle swings it back up high, trying to hit that apex in the turn.
Trying to give himself a good arc. Well, down on the apron there goes William Kruska. You can do that here. You won't get through the turns very well, though. And Jalen Battle, such a run by Mogard. He kind of just gives him the bottom. And I think we're going to see a lot of this early in the run while everyone's tires are fresh.
Look at this, mixing it up all over the track, scattering. They go. Mogard on the outside, but it's basically 3 wide for the lead. That's the 60-1 right in the middle there.
Yeah, I think it was almost
Rachel
4
Hunt.
wide.
Yeah. Rachel Hunt now chases Mogard down the backstretch.
Of course, it remains to be seen how long they can keep this up, because the tires will wear. So Mogard leading.
Hunt's going to go low here. Can she lead this lap? It looks like she can. She had some drafting help from Jalen Battle behind her. He went down to the apron with her. Don't forget about Colton Lane, who's moved up all the way to 4th. He kind of swings towards that outside lane. We've got cars in the wall way in the back of the field, and the caution waves, trying to see who that is. Looks like William Van Alstine in the 62.
This looks much uglier than our first caution here, and you can see a large pack of cars in the middle of the field as they drove off into turn 1. Like we say, even single car, they were hitting 180 miles an hour in this turn, so still going fast, even if it's not 200 anymore, and 2 cars come together on entry, and let's say about 3 or 4 cars involved in this one. Some heavy damage to the 62 and the 21.
Yeah, the 21 there came in kind of late, got sent right up to the wall, got shot up there. That was Danny Banfield. Looks like game over for him. But that caution came out while Rachel Hunt was the leader. Driver out of Florida. trying to become the next Sarah Dove here on the Global SimRacing Channel to get a woman back in victory lane.
Yeah, well, she's in the right place. I think if you can keep it out front right now, and this is why I don't know how much I like that strategy of pitting under the first yellow, because you could have easily gotten caught up in that second wreck. A couple cars did, you know, where the drivers who didn't pit were up front and not involved. But here come all the leaders this time coming into the pits. A couple cars staying out.
This looks like just about everyone, though. Stephen Durbin, that driver staying out, who was 7th. Was the pole sitter for the race.
Yeah, one thing you've got to be careful about a track like this, a higher pit road speed limit is going to be easy to overshoot your pit stall. Wouldn't be surprised if we see a couple cars having to back up. Hunt hits the pit stall okay. And of course, I think a lot of this again might be fuel related. Let's see if anyone just takes 2 tires or maybe even no tires.
Looks like a bit of a mix. But a big race off pit road, yeah.
Yeah, Rachel Hunt wins the race off of pit road, and I think she took 4, so it looks like everyone took 4 there, at least the front runners.
I think the first driver to take 2 was Bronson Stafford, who came out pretty high in the running there in the 67 machine.
Yeah, this would make sense for drivers who pit under the first caution. You know, if they took tires then, maybe they could have got away with no tires or 2 tires under this one. But Stephen Durbin is leading our race now.
Durbin was the pole sitter, but he has yet to lead a lap tonight.
Of course, there's always a chance that now he's led a lap, he might come down into the pits. Yep, that's exactly what he's going to do. I like it. Ooh, he just blinked a little bit there. I think he did. I like a strategy sometimes when I do iRacing myself, you know, staying out the leader lap. If you're going to do it, though, I've learned, do it early in the race. You know, get that bonus point early in the race. You can't play this game at the end of a race and you start at the back. And I have learned that the hard way.
Yeah, that often comes back to bite some drivers. So a good call there by Durbin.
That puts TJ Maguire at the front of the field, but the pace car lights are still on, so he could come in to top off at the end of this lap. Now, of course, some drivers might be just wanting to get fuel and track position to be up front at the completion of lap 30, where they pay off points at the halfway point of a race.
Pace light's still on here on the backstretch. Well, for a 1/6 of the way through the race.
Coming up on a 5th at the end of this one. 12 times 5. But, yeah, so Rachel with 4 tyres is restarting second here. So we'll get a... And let's not forget, TJ Maguire was involved in that first caution, so he's carrying some damage on this car. So he is not going to be competitive at all if he restarts up front. I've got to imagine this is a call just to get a bonus point and he'll be coming in. Because if not, and he's not coming in, I think he's going to struggle for pace at this restart. We might see a lot of cars trying to get by him in a hurry.
Yeah, the front end of that car looks decent. It's the back end that is, well, it doesn't even look bad. It is just missing. There you see it. Good view of it there.
Now, of course, there's always the chance that once he loses a couple positions, that maybe his car won't be slower when it's drafting another car. But even with rear end damage, I don't know if he's going to be able to keep that in the lead.
We are about to find out. It's going to be 47 laps remaining when we take the green here, when TJ Maguire takes the green. I'm sure these cars are going to scatter regardless of whether or not he has damage, which he definitely does.
Yeah, well, we've seen pretty sober races down into the first turn. The field gets strung out and, in fact, even gets single file. It's coming off of turn 2 down the
Yeah.
back straight that things are going to get interesting.
That's when you get up to speed, and that's when the slipstream really kicks in. You can fall in the line of the big hole in the air with the driver in front of you, and you can really close in. Sometimes close in too fast. These drivers got to be careful. Watch for Jalen Battle. He's restarting third. He's on the bottom. First car down there without damage. TJ McGuire, driver out of the Plains region, he's going to give this one a shot in the 82 car because the green flag is about to wave for the third time tonight, and we're back to racing here at Auto Club Speedway.
Rachel gets a horrible restart. See, it's getting past left and right. And right stuck behind her. And in fact, that's caused, I think, some calamity at the back.
I think she missed a shift or something. She's fallen, looks like outside the top 10 even. Back up front, it's Jalen Battle, who looks to have gone to the lead, but maybe not for long. Bronson Stafford with that two-tire call coming hard on the outside. 3 wide now because Jared Mogard's going to split him in the middle.
And there in 4th place, you see TJ Maguire, so he might be hanging on okay in the draft for now. No, he goes to the apron, he's coming into the pits. So we're still 3 wide for the lead, though. Jared Morgan up high. Battle is down low, and Maguire is... Sorry, Stafford in the middle. Battle down low, and the battle continues into turn 1 and 2. See if we can get some laps in under our belt now.
The 56 joining the picture there on the bottom. That's Blake Treywick down there. Matt Grunberg in the 6th position, now 5th position. He started way back in 38th. He's up here battling for the lead.
Jared Mogard has it right now, 180 miles an hour as he gets to the stripe. Stafford does a nice run on him. He's over 185 miles an hour as he takes to the high line. But we haven't seen this line work yet, but we haven't really had any kind of green flag run yet. So let's see if in the long run the drivers who go to the high side are able to keep the loud pedal down more as they fan out behind them. 3 wide battling for about 6th on back.
Great battling all over the track. Lots of side-by-side, lots of 3, sometimes even 4 wide. Big slide for Billy Cruz. Go down to the apron. He's going to save it looks like.
Yeah, that was contact. He got help there. He had a nice save.
Great save by the driver of the number 6. And thanks to this draft, he should be pretty good to get back going. Keeps the pace up at least, or quickly gains it back. Now the caution comes out. Trying to find who this one is this time. I'm not seeing anyone on my screen. I don't know. We might have to call this one a debris yellow.
Yeah, we'll try and figure that out. Looks like Mogard will hold on to the lead, though. So now, of course, with that halfway point coming up at pace points in less than 10 laps from the restart, do you really want to give up track position for tyres right now? I don't think so. But I've been wrong already.
We'll see who comes in here. Bronson Stafford, who had those 2 tires. He's there in 2nd. Good call for him, though, because it kept him up there.
I'm looking at the cars on the tail end of the lead lap now, which you think would be the ones who brought out the caution. And those are Jason Stewart and Scott Ricard, but I don't see a lot of damage on their machines. So whatever happened, looks like it was a minor calamity.
Coming through turn 4 and onto the front stretch now. Well, it looks like Mogard's going to stay out, but Bronson Stafford from 2nd in the 67 machine leads them down pit road, and after that, everyone's coming in.
Yep, so I'm definitely being proven wrong. These drivers really like the pits.
They probably could stay out, but if everyone comes in for fresh tires, I guess you're not going to be losing too much track position. Jack Wells stayed out there as well. Looks like... no, he's not going to get a... He is on the lead lap. All right. Todd Slauson, another one. That top three, some big names from the Truck Series last year.
Well, Mogard led them in and took 4 tires. I don't see anyone in front of him here, although he's having a pretty good side-by-side race down pit road with... Oh, okay, that's Matt Grunberg. He was far back in the order, so he didn't take 4.
And Bronson Stafford beats him out. Looks like everyone gets away pretty unscathed there from pit road. We're going to step aside for just a moment while we get ready to go back green here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. But stick with us. We've got a lot of racing left for you tonight. You're watching the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of round 3 of the Sim Racers for Mental Health NASCAR Cup Series here at Auto Club Speedway. Getting ready to go back to green for the 4th time this evening. Jared Mogard in the 00 leads this very large field. He's got Jack Wells to the outside. Todd Slauson also stayed out, the first pitter there on fresh tires. Bronson Stafford back and forth. We haven't seen the outside get very good restarts recently, so maybe Matt Grunberg in 5th is in the best position. There's one way to find out, and that is to let these guys go back racing. Looks like we're going to have about 39 laps remaining here at Fontana. Pace cars pulling off. Waiting on Jared Mogard's right foot. He gets on it. Already 3 wide for second. He's going to come right up the track and try to clear Jack Wells. He's not going to quite have that room. He's going to have to stay back down on the bottom. That's going to kind of complicate his entrance into the corner, but keeping it flat out, he should be good. Wells falls down in line into second. The 77 of Slauson gets some toe, and they're going to fan out on the backstretch.
Yeah, maybe now we'll see why everyone has been pitting for tyres so often. Even with just a couple green flag laps on these tyres, will Mogard get swallowed up here? Right now he's doing a good job of controlling the field as it goes through turns 3 and 4 using that low line. Todd Slauson is going to get a nice run on him down the front straight though. Is he going to look up high? Yes he is, but getting the block there from Mogard. Mogard is determined to keep this lead. They get points for being in the top 10 at the completion of lap 30. That's still a little ways away though, but Mogard still controlling the field.
A little bit of contact further back in the middle of the field. A couple of drivers went sliding through turns 1 and 2, but their drifting skills are on par because we stay green. Everyone keeps their cars pointed in the right direction for the lead. Todd Slauson's going to take a look to the bottom. He's going to dive down to the bottom side, and it looks like he's going to take that lead over Mogard. He's going to bring Bronson Stafford behind him. Now Stafford's going to give him a taste of his own medicine. They go all the way down to the apron. We're 4 wide for the lead here at Auto Club.
That was almost a disaster there as Mogard tried to come down and he wasn't entirely clear. So yeah, boys, 3 wide for the lead, heading off into turn 1. Slauson on the low line, Grunberg using the middle. So you can see the drivers on the low side are having a lift. So I definitely think that tyres are going off quicker than what I anticipated, which is probably why we've seen so many cars at pitting. But right now it's Grunberg leading the field. They're coming to 6 to go until the halfway point. Stafford in second, and Grunberg slides up out the XL4, and Stafford's just going to take that lead from him.
A new car up here in the mix is the 95 of Armando Ortiz. He's on the outside there, second row back. But like you said, up front, it's Grunberg on the outside now of Stafford. Ortiz coming down low. He's going to get a big run here onto the backstretch. Caution flag is out once again. Had trouble finding it last time. Possibly Matthew Rodriguez. We'll take a look. He did slide. It looks like he had some connection issues as well. He was towards the back of the field, I believe, running 34th on the bottom of... That was another driver to his outside, I think.
I'm trying to work out what exactly he pulled out the caution here, because he was off the racing line. Normally iRacing would have shown a yellow for that, but there we go.
Must have been something similar to that last caution as well. That was Brandon Jackson to his outside there, by the way. Maybe took some air off of his door. That caution is going to put Bronson Stafford back up front. Matt Grunberg second. Armando Ortiz third place. Todd Slauson fourth. Jared Mogard has fallen back to 5th there on that start. It seems to be, that's not the first time tonight, a couple times now, the leader at the restart has gone back to 5th very quickly, or 5th thereabouts. Just very quickly, just gets swallowed up by that draft behind him.
Yeah, well, the leader's sitting duck at the start, but be that as it may, he only fell back to 5th on old tyres. And everyone's coming in once again for tyres. And I wouldn't be surprised if the way they come off of pit road is the way they complete lap number 30. I think that's about when we'll be going back to green. Maybe they'll have 1 or 2 laps to go to then. But these drivers really thinking tyres are critical. But if that's the case, Mogard did a heck of a job to only drop back to 5th on old tyres when everyone else had new ones.
And they're going to be racing pretty hard, too, because don't forget, at the conclusion of lap 30, bonus points get awarded to the top 10 drivers. Everyone going to be jostling for positions there. Obviously, the winner, or the leader at that moment, is going to get 10 points. Then it goes 9, 8, 7, 6 down the line to 10th place, getting 1 point. Looks like the race off pit road going to be won by Bronson Stafford. 1 car stayed out, but that's just Stephen O'Hare getting one of his laps back.
The other reason I'm not sure how much I like this tyres call, honestly, Nick, is we've seen a lot of cautions tonight. Granted, not all of them have been major incidents, but there's a good chance that if this keeps up, that one of these incidents will collect a lot of cars. And the best way to avoid that is to be up towards the front. I just think the pros of having track position outweigh the cons. A lot of these drivers, though, seem to want tyres, and some giving up track position to make sure they have tyres, make sure they have fuel. It's really hard to say, how fuel strategy could play out during this race, because right now we've had so many yellow flag laps that fuel hasn't really been a concern for anybody.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I don't think it will be from this point on. New name up front, Tom Bourne, up there into second place. Bronson Stafford took 2 tires. Tom Bourne took 2 tires. Grunberg and company on back took 4. I think everyone behind him, maybe Jordan McAvoy, who's back in, I think, 11th right now, took 2.
The top 5 cars all started outside the top 15. That's how much the orders have been shuffling today. Qualifying was very close. Not sure how much it meant at this stage due to the various strategies we've seen from all the yellows we've had so far. Hopefully the second half of this race, it will clear up a little bit. We'll get some more green flag racing. But if not, this is a fairly interesting game of musical chairs. See what cards each of these drivers play to be up front when lap 60 hits.
And I think right now they're going to be trying to play the cards to get at the end of lap 30 for those bonus points. They are always helpful. I don't know if anyone's going to wreck their car over it, but they're definitely going to do their best. And it looks like it's going to be about a 1-lap shootout for that lap 30 threshold. Because the pace lights are on here coming out of turn 4. They should go off here coming onto the 29.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the lights are going to go off, and we will have a 1-lap shootout to get those bonus points for being in the top 10 at halfway. So, I know, Nick. I think given the way we've seen this race go so far, there might be some cars wreck each other for those bonus points.
The place you're going to really want to try to keep a little bit of peripheral vision on is those drivers right outside, like Jordan McAvoy, who I mentioned, take 2 tires. That makes more sense now as I see he's right in 11th, looking into the top 10. Blake Traywick in 12th. Jared Young and Corey Blevins, 13th and 14th. They're going to be trying to jostle for position to at least pick up 1 or 2 extra points. That's how crucial, that's how critical every single point is to try to get in the top 10 to make the chase here in this series.
And we've seen some drivers get bad restarts tonight. Rachel Hunt dropped several positions when she restarted 2nd or 4th on one of those restarts. So we've got to keep half an eye out on that, especially these drivers on 2 tires. Having old tires versus new tires can throw your car off balance a little bit when you're getting back under power. Normally, you wouldn't think a track where, the gears are so long, such as Auto Club, you'd see a lot of wheel spin or bad restarts, but tonight's proven us wrong.
It is yet another restart. It's a 1-lap shootout, at least until we find out who gets 10 bonus points compared to 0.
This is interesting. Stafford restarting up high. I think that's the first time we've seen that today.
And he gets going quickly up high, too. Maybe trying to break the draft. We'll see. Tom Bourne on the inside. Remember, the front 2 drivers took 2 tires. Everyone else behind took 4. Grunberg really pushing Bourne on the inside because the inside did get a good start, except for Bourne. Through turns 1 and 2 they go. Everyone trying to get down to the bottom.
Bourne gets a nice round. He's going to take it to the high side, but Stafford's going to be able to keep it wide open down on the low line, having only 1 turn on those tires so far.
Leader at the stripe with 10 bonus points. Tom Bourne with the advantage, but maybe the momentum is going to swing back to Stafford. I don't think so. I think Tom Bourne's going to have it, and he will, because he has a push from Matt Grunberg. Give the 10 bonus points to Tom Bourne there. Good call for him.
And the caution
back out.
But I don't think this is for halfway. I think we do have an incident. Yeah, we have a pretty nasty incident going into turn 1.
We'll take a look back at this, see what happened, who it was involved. Coming here. This is on the front stretch.
Oh, hard knock into that inside wall for the 43 and the 34.
The 34 of Robert Kenny.
The 43 of Tony Edmondson.
Very hard hit for both of them. Edmondson's car actually still running. Kenny's is not. Similar damage, though. Just one wire connected extra for Tony Edmondson, it must be. Someone got through there pretty nicely. I think that maybe been Brandon Carr. That bright green Interstate Batteries machine. Interesting to see that paint scheme on a Ford.
We're on board Gazelle here. And there we go, there's Carr just making it by. Alright, so Bourne, Stafford, Grunberg, Ortiz, Battle, Slauson, Mogard, McClintock, Rice and Bellard were your top 10 as of lap 30, so they'll all get the bonus points. Now the thing is, do they want tyres and fuel? They say yes. I almost wonder if some drivers at the very back maybe took it easy on that restart. See if anyone at the back risked something. Yeah, I think a lot of cars towards the back have stayed out.
That's gonna really shake things up. Drivers for track position. We did only run one lap there, and I don't think it's gonna be the end of the world if you have old tires. Especially if you have that many cars buffering in between you and the drivers that do have fresh tires.
Yeah, with Dylan Martin now leading the field. I believe I used to commentate to Dylan several years back in a late model series. That was pre-GSRC days for me, so it's nice to see him having worked his way up to the Cup cars and leading the field around right now.
Driver out of Florida, leading Corey Blevins in the 24. The Hoosier. The Indiana driver to match that Jeff Gordon paint scheme.
Yeah, it's nice seeing the paint schemes we have out here today, and like you mentioned, a couple of Jeff Gordon paint schemes out there as well, and of course the Interstate Batteries Ford. So we're over halfway now. The bonus points have been awarded. These drivers are purely racing to the end of a race. And again, the drivers seem to be prioritizing tires and fuel. I'm up here in the commentary box screaming, you want track position, because we've seen drivers on old tires not drop back too far. But then granted, that's been because we've had short runs. We've barely, I think the longest green flag runs we've had so far tonight have been about 5 or 6 laps. And so, you know, even if old tires haven't been friendly, you haven't lost a whole lot of positions because there hasn't been a lot of time out there. Fuel hasn't been a concern. But I think the biggest advantage to having track position is avoiding the incidents we've had further back in the field. We have not had a big one yet. And I have a feeling that if we're going to keep having this yellow fever, eventually there's going to be a bit of a nasty wreck. And the drivers up front are going to be in position to avoid that.
Yeah, it's just a matter of when and where. Maybe the drivers up front now are not the drivers that are going to be up front when it matters. But we'll find out. That does usually happen. That is a tendency in these new Cup cars.
And a relatively new thing in iRacing is that they do have green-white checkers now. We can have up to 3 attempts of a green-white checkered, so that could be another reason why you'd want to make sure you have a bit of extra fuel in your car towards the end of this race.
Yep. I believe this series in particular, I know the truck series, I think they used 2 green-white checkered attempts. We'll have to see if that's the same for the Cup cars, or maybe we won't see. Maybe we'll just run this thing from here on, green to the finish. It's going to be a 25-lap stint if we do. That's how many laps they'll have when they take the green, as we are more than halfway through now in this race. Dylan Martin going to lead them back to green. In that little bit of a throwback Clint Boyer scheme there.
Hopefully he doesn't do the same thing Clint Boyer did to it at Daytona.
Hopefully he crosses the line, though, just on the right side.
And with no orange stuff coming out of it.
I think that's the... I think when most fans see that paint scheme, that's the first memory they have of that car on the track or through the grass at that moment.
Yeah, it's not remembered much as the 07 car as it is the 20 car. And that 07 upside down.
We will see if he can keep all 4 wheels on the ground. Hopefully he can. We come back into the restart zone. Pace car pulls out. Like I said, 25 laps remaining in this race here at Auto Club Speedway. Green flag back in the air. He's going to get very high up on the track, try to block Corey Blevins just a little bit. That's going to leave Tyler Fode down, up there. Following them through turns 1 and 2. Colton Lane, the lone car on the bottom. Martin trying to come back down, but it looks like too much speed there for Fode on the bottom.
Yeah, Martin is getting swamped up high there. That decision to go up high isn't really paying off for him right now. They're 3 abreast, the 24 coming through the middle of Blevins. So 3 wide going into turn at number 3. With Blevins up high, Colton Lane down low, and they're going to have a drag race back to the start-finish line to see which one of them can pick up a point for leading the lap if they haven't already.
Very close to the line that time. It's going to be Corey Blevins by 6/1000ths of a second over Colton Lane.
I'm curious to see how many lead changes we have at the end of this. And boy, things getting close there. The drivers trusting each other not to slide up into one another. Excellent turn 2 as they drag race down the back straight. 185 miles an hour, throwing it off into turn 3. Once again, still some 3 wide action. Bit of contact there, sliding up the racetrack. It's Dylan Martin.
The 40 going all the way back down to the bottom. That's Tyler Fode. He's going to follow the 24 there to the stripe. Corey Blevins leads that lap.
Oh, but he left the inside open as they went off into turn 1, and Fode almost took it from him. But now, looks like the tyre's starting to wear again. The driver's up high, get a bit of a better run off of a corner.
We're seeing a couple times leading that lap. Usually it's the driver on the inside. However, if you're on the inside heading into turn number 1, that really compromises your corner entry. And a lot of times the driver in second swoops down and takes it. Just like this, Tyler Fode back down again, straddling the apron. He's going to try to get around the 24 now this time. They come to the line. Blevins will lead, but I think that momentum is going to shift down to Fode.
Blevins has a bit of help from behind him, though, from Colton Lane. He was racing him a while ago. Now they're helping each other, and Blevins gets a nice gap ahead of the rest of the field going down the back straight. But at pack racing, that's not always a good thing to have a gap ahead of the rest of the field. It means they can get a good run on you.
You're a sitting duck up there if you are. Watch the 60 now of Colton Lane. He's back down on the bottom. He's going to get very close to the left rear quarter panel of Corey Blevins. He chooses not to go down the apron. That's Billy Kruska giving him a little drafting help behind him. 3 wide for the lead once again here at Auto Club Speedway. Caution.
And caution.
This time, I believe Edmondson is the driver involved. Tony Edmondson. Saw him involved in the last accident. It's actually going to be Martin. Yeah. Dylan Martin. Sam, I think we cursed it.
I mean, he was on old tires. We saw that working earlier for Jared Mogard. Dylan Martin didn't seem to be having as good of a time with it. He was kind of stuck up high, dropping back onto the back of a 7, exiting the corner, then kind of washed up into the wall. Fortunately for him, that wasn't worse than what it was. He's going to be able to continue and probably look forward to having 4 new tires on that. That was actually one of the longer runs we've seen during this race, Nick. I wouldn't be surprised for pit road to have a lot of cars in it this lap.
Yeah, and I would expect less drivers to try to take 2 and less drivers to stay out here as well. Corey Blevins is the leader. It's going to be all up to him whether or not he wants to lead them all down or not. When it comes down to it, it really is everyone's decision, but a lot of times that is inspired by what the leader does.
Yeah, Blevins stays out. He's the same duck. I mean,
We'll find out in a second.
The good thing about when everyone pits is you can take 4 tires and fuel and not lose any track position if everyone else does the same thing. You've just got to make sure you hit your marks right.
Exactly. Everyone diving into their stalls, trying not to slide the stalls. Good stop for Blevins.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of overshooting of pit stalls going on today. These are large pit stalls. I think that's helping these drivers out.
Yep, looks like a lot of drivers getting in cleanly. Haven't seen any mistakes yet on this initial stop. Haven't seen any too severe mistakes, at least. Seen a couple of small adjustments in the box. Tyler Foti has come out of the pits.
Yeah, Blevins does not win the race out of the pits. Tyler Foti, as you mentioned, leads, and then we got Jonathan Lazelle.
Tyler Foti actually just took 2 left side tires, it looks like. That's an interesting call. We're going to take a break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Under the caution, we'll bring you back right before we go green. Stay tuned. Less than 20 laps left from Auto Club. going to be 16 laps to go when these drivers make about another mile of driving about halfway down the backstretch here. This is round 3 of the Sim Racers for Mental Health NASCAR Cup Series here from Auto Club Speedway. Seen a lot of lead changes, a lot of different leaders, a lot of pack racing, and a couple of wrecks as well. This is Tyler Fody leading for the first time tonight with Jonathan Lizelle, his first time on the front row.
Yeah, we've seen some great racing when it has been green today. We've seen a few cautions though. 16 laps left to go, so the intensity is going to pick up. I think they can all make it on fuel, but tyres definitely still going to be a concern as Foti leads them back to green, gets a nice restart.
It is a good restart indeed. The outside stacks up like we've seen a couple times. They all try to slide down, trying to find some room down to the bottom, trying to take it flat out through turns 1 and 2. Side by side for second, Blevins has gotten to the inside of Lizelle. Really big stack up behind him. Kruska came up in front of some guys. A couple of sliders. They fan out 3 and 4 wide down the backstretch.
Yeah, that was 4 wide with Born Up High and Jared Young now winning that battle that they had going on. But winning the battle up front looks like Tyler Foti is still leading the field around as they come to 15 to go. 3/4 distance, and now he's going down to the apron to try and defend. Whoa, there wasn't a whole lot of room up there for him. Lane wasn't in a hurry to back out, and so now Lane's in the middle. There's 3 by 3 for the top 6.
3 by 3 indeed, almost 4 wide in some cases coming out of turn 2. This is going to be one interesting drag race down the long, very bumpy backstretch here. Foti on the bottom, Lane in the middle, Blevins up high. Caution has come out to interrupt it.
That was a nice little scrap we had going on up front there, but call this race Kermit the Frog. It is not easy being green. We have another yellow, and you see a couple cars down on the apron here.
Take a look at the replay and see who all this is. Looks like some guys running probably damaged back there. I believe Stephen O'Hare, Tony Edmondson in the 43. Oh. Lost his engine, I believe, there. A cloud of smoke came out, and there was, at that point, nowhere to go. You might look at that wide track and figure if there was a place to go, but not when you're running at those high speeds and have that little time to decide. Right on board here with Stephen O'Hare. Boom.
He's saying, no, here we go again. He might be it. I mean, he's going to have a bit of a crumpled up front hood, but looks like he should be able to keep going. So now it's getting kind of critical. We know they can all make it on fuel. Fuel's not really a concern now. So now it is all about tyres. I feel this is the last time you can get away with having everyone down the pits. You know, track position is going to become critical when you start the run out of laps. Still have 13 to go here. Our leader is staying out. No, he sees everyone coming in behind him. And no, third stays out. Okay, most of the field stay out. Just, is that...
Jonathan Lizelle comes into the pits. Cole Bushman as well. And Bronson Stafford, who got shuffled back in the mix. We saw him running up front earlier.
So a lot of drivers faking. So the leaders have played their cards and they don't want to come down anymore.
Well, I think just a couple more cautions. We're going to be at the end of this race. I think it's time, like you said, time to stay out.
And the cream is rising to the crop. Even though as much shuffling we have seen throughout the field today, we've realized there have been names that have kind of stuck around up front, and those are the names we see up front here. So even on old tires, these drivers seem to have this place figured out, and they're probably going to be hard to knock down from the front of the field in the last 10 or so laps.
Seems like that's the way it always is. The best drivers, really, no matter what aero package you have on the cars, will emerge when it matters. Colton Lane, Tyler Foti, Corey Blevins, your top 3.
Pace car will probably stay out for a couple more laps here. I have a feeling we'll have about 10 to
Yep.
go when they do get going.
So fuel shouldn't be an issue for anyone unless people were, I don't know, trying to make their cars lighter and not take fuel on a couple of stops, which I'm sure they were, but they should still be good with the number of cautions we have. 75% fuel limit, like you predicted caution lights are staying on.
Well, I'd say that's silly to, not take fuel when you could have because you want your car
Right.
to be light on fuel and then run out of fuel, but I may have done that a couple of times. I'll tell you what, for as much yellows we have seen in today's race, we still have a lot of cars out there and a lot of cars on the lead lap because they've been able to get wave arounds and lucky dogs. I think we're still looking at about 33 cars in contention to, who knows, win this thing if things get too ugly. Yeah, and then 34th on back are multiple laps down. You can see how much shuffling has been through the race order looking at our position gain loss column there on your screen.
Yeah, despite the number of cautions, you mentioned it, this has been fantastic racing because we really haven't seen one big one. Nothing too ugly, nothing too, desperate from a couple of drivers. We haven't seen that. We've seen good racing, good drivers, just a couple of incidents. That's kind of what you're going to get when you're running this close, this fast.
Yeah, of course, the flip side to that is when you have incidents where you don't have cars knocked out the race, you still have a giant field of cars. And that leads to, a potential for more incidents. I don't think we have seen our final caution in today's race, but by this point, that's not even... That's just a fact of racing. 10-lap shootout here for the win. So many cars still in competition. These drivers could race as clean as they want to when there's this much urgency to try and take a win. I think we've only just started to see the amount of excitement, what we can see at the front of this field, which is saying something considering the amount of 4, 3 and even 4 wide racing we've seen up front today.
I'd say any of those drivers on the lead lap, this is their race to win, and it's also their race to lose. And like you mentioned, looks like 33 cars on the lead lap, a couple of them at the back, like Scott Rickard getting repairs. But the pace lights are out, and they're starting to grid up. It's going to be Colton Lane on the inside, Tyler Fody on the outside. The inside has been the place to be on these restarts. We haven't seen this old of tires yet. Of course, that is only about 4 or 5 laps old. Some of those run really only about 2 or 3 laps old on green flag condition. Don't know if that's going to be enough to cause a lot of tire spin throughout the field. Don't believe it is. But it is going to be, like you said, a 10-lap shootout. Will we stay green?
No.
Well, let's ask the drivers. We're about to find out. Colton Lane, he looks to have the preferred lane. Coming to the green flag. Getting on the loud pedal for possibly the final time tonight. It's going to be interesting to see if that is. Tyler Fody dips right down to the bottom, right in front of Corey Blevins, who's right in front of Tom Bourne and Jalen Battle. They're battling for 4th. Fody's got too much speed. He doesn't know what to do with it. He's going to swing to the outside. Oh, I hope that doesn't cost him, because here comes Blevins on the bottom through turn 2.
Yeah, now things are going to get interesting as they go down the back straight. Lot of single. There you see, already 3 wide, heading into turn 3. We'll see who comes out on top. It doesn't look like it's going to be Lane. It looks like it's going to be the 24 of Blevins making that low line work.
And out of nowhere, Armando Ortiz has come up into 2nd place. He's got a big run, that Toyota Camry, the 95, on the back of Blevins. He's going to squeeze the middle there on the very bottom lane of the track, almost on the apron. That's where Blevins went. Watch out for the 31 of Tom Bourne as well. He's come back into the picture. Contact for the lead. Around goes Ortiz and up into the wall.
Blevins slid up into him, and they're still skidding around in the middle of the track, and that's going to involve more cars. This was a big one we've been worried about. Dylan Martin's involved in it. Todd Slauson has got a piece. Yeah, Blevins just stuck his foot into the throttle even though he was on the low line and slid up into into Ortiz.
Yep, trying to hold it flat out. That just shows you how much handling skills you still need to have. What a mess.
Blevins gets the lead out of all of that. See, let's not forget, Lazelle was up front. We're riding on board Lazelle here. He elected to take tyres, was really one of the only leaders that did it. It's not slowing down, I think, as much as he could have been, but he gets through it okay. Yeah.
Man. Definitely a close call for a lot of guys like that. It's going to set themselves up nicely for this restart, because this is probably going to be the final, well, restart scheduled in regulation. Like you said, we do have a couple of green-white checkered attempt, should we need them.
I wonder if Blevins... Oh, here we go. Some cars coming into the pits behind Blevins.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, let's shake it up a bit. I'm
Colton
wondering
Lane
how
is the
much...
first.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much damage, if any, Blevins got from that contact, if that's going to slow him down.
They have something on the side panel of that car. Jalen Battle follows Colton Lane down. Billy Kruska is there as well. Blake Trewick. Steven Durbin. Jared Young. Jared Young actually sliding his pit stall. So up front, that leaves Corey Blevins, Tom Bourne, Brandon Anderson. Where did Brandon Anderson come from? Very big name last season in the truck series here. Jeffrey McClintock and Matt Grunberg, the top.
Yeah, wasn't Anderson involved in an incident or something earlier?
I think so. It must have been very early.
Yeah. Nice job at coming back. Also, Mogard. I haven't mentioned his name for a little bit. He's now up in 6th. Yeah, I'm going to say, is that a weird paint scheme? No, he's picked up a cone. Okay.
I've seen a couple drivers go down there and hit it just for fun. There it goes underneath.
You don't want it to get stuck under your car.
Well, there are plenty of iRacing bloopers you can look up on YouTube, usually of some road racers in some orange cones, but it does happen. Almost had our second debris caution of the night.
Alright, pace car light's gonna go off. My guess would be no. We're gonna have one more lap. So we will be looking at a 4-lap shootout. We've managed a 4-lap run a few times tonight. I don't know how optimistic I am about that happening again. Especially considering how aggressive that move really was by Blevins that brought out this caution. I mean, I understand why he kept his foot in it. He was battling for the lead, but, you know, that car drifted up and he got into the 95 of Ortiz and brought out this yellow. So we know Blevins, basically conclusion there is we know Blevins isn't going to back out. He wants to try and win this race. And if the drivers around him have that same kind of mentality, we might be seeing a couple more yellows.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot more flat-out driving like we saw from Blevins that last green flag lap that we had. Don't see too much damage on that 24 car.
Yeah, sometimes you don't have to see it, though. It's there.
Yeah.
That right front fender could be a little bit crinkled, affecting his aerodynamics. I remember once in on iRacing. I was in a Legends race. I grazed the wall or something and got a 0x and thought, okay, I'll continue. The car's still handling okay. And I got the meatball flag. Like, oh, well, that sucks. So I brought it into the pits and I got too much damage, we're done message. And, you know, as frustrating as it is, you got to remember this is to simulate real life. That kind of thing happens in real life. I saw a great forum post once where someone had a similar incident to me and, you know, complained, oh, I just barely scraped the wall or whatever. They said at the end of the day, even these cars are simulated, you're still doing, you know, 100 miles an hour plus. There is no such thing as a simple graze of a wall that doesn't damage anything. You know, there's tremendous forces being involved here. iRacing have done a great job of being able to replicate that. And even if we're not seeing damage on Blevins, or who knows, there might be some other cars out here up front who have some scratches on them that we might not see it. You might not see it visually on their car, but it's still affecting that handling, their aerodynamics. And all of these drivers have a story to tell. We'll get to talk to some of the top finishers at the end of the night. So stick around for post-race interviews and stick around for these final 4 laps, because I think we're going to have some excitement here.
The front row is Corey Blevins and Tom Bourne. Brandon Anderson is going to be third. Jeffrey McClintock fourth. The 54 of Matt Grunberg going to be there in row number 3 with Jared Mogard. Watch for that to come into effect. Like you said, 4-lap shootout here at Auto Club Speedway. We'll see if we have another caution. We'll see if we have a green-white checkered attempt. We'll see if we can keep it green. It is Corey Blevins taking the green flag. Already some runs being made towards the back of the field. Green flag back out in the air. 4 laps to go. Blevins holds the line. Brandon Anderson coming through with a lot of slipstream. Here comes Grunberg behind him. The 31, the first car on the outside.
All right, how much is Blevins going to defend this lead? Because Anderson has a nice run on him. He's going to look high. Blevins is going to stick to the low side. This is Grunberg, who's got a nice run. He's behind him. They're side by side, though, going up 3 wide, up high. But right now, it's Blevins leading the field around, and the middle and outside lines drop back a little bit. Grunberg is Blevins' closest challenger coming out of turn 4. He goes side by side, and spinning from third goes Jared Mogard. Saves it in the grass, comes back out, and is able to keep it pointing straight. But we have 1 spin in the grass back there as this battle continues up front. No caution yet. Now there is. Evan Rice, when spinning through the grass, trying to avoid all that action, and that's what brings out the yellow. It's unfortunate because he pretty much had it recovered by the time he got back up to the apron, but not enough for iRacing's liking, and the yellow comes back out.
We're going to have to go back and watch that save by Jared Mogard, too. Look at this, down through the grass. Unbelievable.
Yeah, and there you see Rice getting spun, trying to avoid all that, and him spinning as he came back out onto the apron and what brought out the yellow. Otherwise, it would have been a nice recovery. Mogard, I like to say, great save down in the grass.
So we will have 3 attempts at a green-white checkered. This is the first one coming up.
Now we'll watch.
Rice.
Yeah, and Rice is coming down pit road as we speak for tyres. And he'll want them because he does a nice little 360 here. And he almost, like I say, if it had been real well officiating, they might have kept it green here. But the computer says when he came back up onto the apron, he was still pointing sideways, and so it's through the yellow.
Well, we will see what all unfolds. Matt Grunberg took the lead over Corey Blevins at the time of the caution. That's another driver who was back in 5th and comes out with the lead just a couple laps later.
Yeah, we had that nice race going on down into turns 1 and 2. I was watching and talking about the crash going on behind them, wondering if yellow was going to fly, but yeah, these drivers were still side by side. It was Grunberg who came out ahead. Pit road has already been open a couple of laps. Obviously, none of these leaders have any intentions of pitting now. Even though it says final lap at the top of the screen, that is incorrect. The race is being extended for a green, white checkered finish.
And I think we're going to have our third different winner of the season. The other two winners, Steven Durbin, he's running back in 21st. He won at Daytona a couple rounds ago. And right behind him, Jared Mogard, who is actually still in the pits here. Just now coming out. So looks like we're going to have our third different winner in 3 different races for this series.
Oh, I wouldn't count them out.
You never know. Maybe the top 21 will get taken out here.
Hopefully, I think a light should come off at the completion of this lap. So it's Grunberg leading Blevins, McClintock, Dijkemper, Jackson, Anderson, Bourne, Bandfield, Stewart, and Stafford. Only 2 of those drivers started inside the top 17.
Pace car coming across the finish line here. This would normally have been the finish to the race, the conclusion of lap 60. We go into NASCAR's version of overtime. Pace lights staying on as well, so we'll have 2 more pace laps.
So Grunberg leading the field around. And like I say, Grunberg, he didn't turn a lap in qualifying, so that's why he started at the back there. Who knows where he would have started otherwise. But he's one of those drivers, a good example, as is Blevins behind him, of drivers that have just hung around up front all race long. We haven't necessarily talked about them. When they've played their strategy calls, they've gone to the back. But as chaotic as this race has been, there's been some drivers who have been able to manage the chaos and work their way up towards the front for this finish. Now, can they stay there? Of course, is another question. Who knows what we're going to see in the final 2 green flag laps that hopefully we're about to get. And there's a look at Grunberg's Ford Mustang, and nice fluorescent painted yellow before all of the iRacing dirt and debris got thrown over the front of it. But we very much appreciate iRacing simulating those effects. It makes it look very realistic, and it's definitely it's always some pride when you have a good finish and you look at your car, it's got dirt thrown up all over it. And it makes you remember how hard you had to fight for it.
The winner of the race is never going to have a clean windshield.
I think it was one time at Le Mans where the leading team had such a lead that they bothered in to wash the car before the final lap to make sure they had, they looked nice for the post-race.
All the pictures, yeah, of course. Got to please those sponsors, of course. Pace lights are off. This is the final caution lap. Grunberg down on the bottom, Blevins up high. Getting all gridded up here side by side. We'll do 1 lap here. That'll be the green flag lap. If a caution comes out, we'll go to attempt number 2. Once we hit the white flag, though, it's drivers have at it. They're just going to be racing back to the line, or when the caution flies, that is the race.
Well, turns 1 and 2 won't be a concern. It will obviously be this, going down the back straight and into turns 3 and 4. And the biggest concern these drivers have to deal with is they haven't had to deal with tyres this old all race long. So how much are the cars going to push up? They don't know. They don't know how wide open they can hold it, and they might not care. They might just hold it wide open anyway.
So here we go. It's taken us 62 laps to get here. 2 laps remaining. It is green-white checkered attempt number 1 of 3 from Auto Club Speedway. Who's going to win the 3rd round of the Sim Racers for Mental Health NASCAR Cup Series? We're about to find out. Matt Grunberg, he's already gapping the field. He's going to become a sitting duck, but he's going to try to get on the gas as soon as possible. He does. The green flag flies. They're already side by side for 2nd. 3 wide back there for 4th. The race is on.
Yeah, I thought I said the restarts have been quite simple before they've gotten to turn 1 so far this race. Not this time. Lots of 2 and 3 wide racing. That's great news for Grunberg. They're racing hard for second, fourth on back, and that's allowing him to hold on to his lead pretty well right now. Now, what Grunberg would love to see after getting such a great restart is them get through turns 3 and 4 cleanly here, and then he only has to worry about holding on for one more lap. But there is contact.
That's the 31 of Tom Bourne up into the wall. We stay green. He keeps the car pointed to the right way at the 69.
Blevins got turned.
And just a couple hundred feet before the finish line, the caution flies. We will go to a second green-white checkered attempt. It's a mess back there. It's a junkyard.
Yeah, Grunberg was hoping that they would have got to the line. He was holding on to a good lead. It looked like he was going to be able to walk away with that one. But yeah, things just got a little bit dicey around 5th position.
Just too much. See this again. I believe
Blevins got turned, the 24 of Blevins. That's what brought out the yellow. But I mean, there was action even before that. You called it there, Nick. One car getting
the
knocked
31
up
of Tom
into the wall.
Bourne was the one that went up into the wall.
Yeah, we would have stayed green for that, but Blevins got turned sideways. Wasn't quite able to save it.
Yep, I'll do it. There you saw Bourne go up into the wall. A little bit of initial contact from Blevins himself, it looks like, from that angle.
There's no incident limit for these drivers in this series, so no Blevins been involved in a couple of incidents out there today. He won't be happy that he's further back in the field now. So we got up here now. Jeffrey McClinton started 5th. McClintock, rather, is running in 2nd. But he'll be on that undesirable high line, you could almost say, for the restart, whereas Brandon Jackson will be down on the low side, restarting in 3rd.
Another reason Grunberg's wanted that to stay green so he could get the win. Not only could he have gotten the win, but also we kind of saw what he did on that last restart. He's going to have to come up with another strategy here, or McClintock and Brandon Jackson are going to be all over it.
It was definitely a nice restart by Grunberg, and the thing was, is he got such a nice restart that the competition wasn't even able to make a run at him. They would have had to have wrestled that lead away from him on the final lap. He was just a few yards away from making it there. Now the lights stay on for one more lap here. Then we'll be getting ready for our second green-white checkered attempt. And I'm trying to take a look down the top 10, see any names we haven't mentioned in a while. Rachel Hunt has worked her way back up into the top 10. She's in 9th.
Jason Stewart in the 69 car. He's up into 6th. He's taken 11 pit stops tonight.
Yeah, had a frenzy down pit road for the first half of the race. Everyone wanted tyres. No one's wanted tyres towards the end of this thing.
Not as many as Scott Rickard's 19 pit stops. Oh
and
my.
that is, what, 1 pit stop every 3 laps?
Just about, yeah. And like you said, not many people. It looks like he's taken the last. It looks like the last 7 have been stayed out, so even more than that.
It's like counting profanities in the Wolf of Wall Street. I mean,
I think that might be the highest number I've seen in that stat column, apart from a 24-hour race.
all right, pace car lights should go off this time by. We're gonna have one more attempt at a green-white checkered, at the very most two. Grunberg will be hoping, as we've mentioned a couple of times, for as good of a restart as he got last time. And Jeffrey McClintock and Jackson are going to be the first on his tail to try and run them down.
Will we go green, or will we have our third green-white checkered attempt? We're going to find out here in about 1.5 miles of caution laps.
Still 27 cars on the lead lap. So you could have been having a good race all day long, but if something goes bad towards the end here, you could be walking out with a very poor finish.
Going to be Grunberg on the bottom, McClintock on the top side. I don't know if McClintock's led a lap tonight yet. I think he did early in the race. He started 5th in that 5 car.
They'll be looking to lead one more. We'll have to try and wrestle it away from Grunberg. Let's see what kind of start that 54 car gets.
Watch out for Brandon Jackson. Look at that big push he's going to give him back there in 3rd place. The green flag back out. Jackson going to go all the way back down to the bottom. Grunberg's going to sail away at the lead. They head into turn numbers 1 and 2. Like we said, it's usually calm through here, but wait for them to get some draft and scatter on the back.
Well, Grunberg has done what he did before. It's not as much of a lead as what he had last time, but it's still a pretty decent one. So now he's going to be trying to break a draft. He might want to try swerve down the back straight to make sure he doesn't give anyone an advantage. But they're coming hot and heavy into turn 3. Grunberg has to go to the low side to defend. He'll be able to lead through turns 3 and 4. He'll be wanting to make it to the line. Let's see if we can finish this race.
We're not
No,
gonna.
we can't.
Car hard into the wall, trying to look back and see just who that was. It's the 48 of Cole Bushman. And he's been sent into orbit with this hit. Take a look at this. Snaps right, and watch out, Goodyear blimp. Something's invaded your airspace.
Well, that will set us up for the final attempt at the green-white checkered. Matt Grunberg, the way this is going, has got to be feeling pretty confident, because now he'll be hoping for a caution on the first lap.
Yeah, exactly. Now the role's going to reverse. As soon as the caution flies, the race is over. There is a third green-white checkered, as opposed to the truck series that used to.
Yeah, that finishing graphic on GSRC has been coming up for each of our restarts here, but watching as a spectator in the sim that we do, we can see it's telling us green-white checkered 3rd of 3 attempts. And pace car lights will stay on for 1, possibly 2 more laps. Obviously, pit road is open. None of the leaders will have any intentions of coming in. If they wanted to do something like that, they would have done it long ago. By the way, there is a time limit on this race, but we're way under it.
Still got 45 minutes left on that thing.
Alright, let's see. Grunberg, McClintock, trying to see if there's anyone in top 10 we haven't really gave a shout out to for a while. I don't think we've mentioned Decamper a whole lot today, have we? Yeah. Didn't he win
No.
practice? And
Yes, he did. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, and now he's sitting up there in 7th. It would be a non-sponsored upset if he could get to the lead. Although granted, a few of these drivers are racing old NASCAR paint schemes, so technically I guess they're unsponsored too.
I'm sure the companies will take the free marketing, though.
Alright, go on, let's turn these pace car lights off. Grunberg saying that, he says, I want to get my victory. But boy, I tell you what, if Grunberg doesn't get this race win, and we are going to have to wait one more lap, he's going to be quite bummed because he's been leading for probably the last 15 minutes or so.
It seemed like it's the most laps led. I don't know if it is. Remember, he started back in 38th, not setting a qualifying time.
This race is gonna finish on lap 74. So what's that, about 125% advertised race distance? The fans getting their money of watching the cars go around in circles.
The TV providers, the cable is just furious at us. The evening news is on, and there's a race to be finished.
Yeah, but people get their news online now. They don't need to show it on TV.
They race online, too. And that's what brings us here to lap number... What'd you say, 72?
71 now.
71
we'll be
now,
restarting at the
72, yep.
completion of 72, yep. Alright, pace car lights should definitely be going off this time by then. We're 2 miles away. I'll tell you what, I know we mentioned a little while ago, Nick, that all these drivers should be good on fuel, but we've added 25% distance to this race. I mean,
true.
all this caution flag running, I'm sure, is helping them out, but
Still some unprecedented waters there to tread.
is that you saying Brandon Jackson's going to win this race? Because you said precedented. Sorry, we've done a full 90-minute broadcast here without doing any puns. I figured we had to get one in there. We've got to give GSRC fans a mandatory couple of puns a race. Yep.
They came for it. They've stuck around.
All right. And once again, Grunberg is going to ask himself a question that he's been asking himself for the last 15 minutes, like, how do I make sure I nail this restart correctly? Because if he can do that, he'll be hoping for a quick yellow flag. We've seen a few of those today. But if it does go green to the end, this will get exciting, Nick. We've seen some great racing out here today. Here we go.
Already some bumping and shoving as they got into the restart zone. Green flag back out in the air here at Auto Club for the final time tonight. They're already scattering down the front stretch, fanning out. Good situation for Grunberg, except the fact that he's going to be a little bit of a sitting duck. Behind him, it's Jeffrey McClintock. Brandon Anderson has moved into third. Brandon Jackson right behind him, trying to get a nose underneath him. A little bit of contact there. It's going to send McClintock up into the wall. Big, heavy contact big for Anderson back there. Caution is out.
Got sent up into the wall from contact behind. That's going to give Grunberg a win. Still cars wrecking down the back straight. That's going to ruin their days. And that was they were all single file. It was Brandon Jackson knocked Brandon Anderson out of the way, and several more cars getting involved.
Ruined a lot of people's days, except for Matt Grunberg, who's going to cruise across one more lap here. And he's going to claim his first win of the season here in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series.
Yeah, I haven't missed that yet as we're watching the replay. They're still catching the pace car on the final lap.
Yep.
But yeah, they all got single file. I was about to make a comment that was one of the cleanest restarts we'd seen since the start. But then they were all trying to bump draft each other coming out of turn 2. They're trying to get a good run on Grunberg down the back straight to try and win this race because Grunberg had gotten off to such a good start, but they just weren't able to do it. You know, they were getting aggressive on each other, and bumpers took the wrong way. And as a result, that's going to end this race under yellow. But with Matt Grunberg, who's been sitting patiently in the lead for about 20 minutes now, finally getting that victory, providing, of course, he's got enough fuel to make it around.
Which hopefully he should be able to coast it here out of turn number 4. Hats off to Matt Grunberg. He survived not 1, not 2, but 3 green-white checkered attempts. He's going to get win number 1 here. It's the 3rd round of the season. The 54 is going to head to victory lane here at Auto Club Speedway. We're going to take a break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. When we come back, we're going to have a full race rundown. It's a big field to cover. And to give you the full race results, we've also hopefully got some driver interviews coming up. You don't want to miss that. Welcome back to Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California, where Matt Grunberg, after a long, harrowing race, has parked his number 54 Mustang in victory lane there in the infield. He's going to take the win here. Here's your race results. Jeffrey McClintock and Brandon Jackson are going to be your 2 other podium finishers. Robert DeKemper and Bronson Stafford. A couple of interesting tire calls there from the 67. He winds up in 5th. Todd Slauson, Jack Wells, Jason Stewart in the 69. 6th, 7th, and 8th. The 9th place goes to Rachel Hunt. Great race from her. And Lee Banks will round out your top 10.
We saw Colton Lane up front earlier, but he ends up being in 11th position, and now we can get those full race results on screen for you as well. On page 2 here, Jared Young comes home in 12th place, so Blake Trawick finishes in 13th ahead of William Kruska in 14th place. Jody Banfield comes home in 15th ahead of Robert Ballard, and then Stephen P. Durbin, our pole sitter, finishes back in 17th. Tom Bourne got up in the wall late on in the race. He brings it home in 18th ahead of Brandon Kahn, Scott Ricard rounding out our top 20.
Another fast car tonight that took some damage late in the race was Corey Blevins. He winds up in 21st. Tyler Fody and Jalen Battle going to be the last 2 cars on the lead lap. 1 lap down is Jonathan Lazelle and Brandon Anderson will round out the top 25. 26th and 27th, both 6 laps down. That's going to be Cole Bushman and Jared Mogard. Those are some championship contenders having some terrible races today. Evan Rice going to finish 28th, 29th, and 30th. Going to be Jordan McAvoy and Matt Rodriguez.
Armando Ortiz, he was racing up front when he got taken out. He'll come home in 31st. Dylan Martin also tried to play a strategy gamble in the middle of a race that didn't work out for him. He ranks 32nd. Jamal Poe, he finishes in 33rd. And Stephen O'Hare, we were on board with him when he got involved in his incident. He ranks 34th ahead of Tony Edmondson. Robert Kenny all the way back in 36th ahead of TJ Maguire. Remember him, he had damage on his car, tried to restart from the lead at one point in the race. That didn't work out. He brought it to the garage, finished 37th ahead of Brent Jones, William Van Astein and Danny Vanfield. And then the 2 drivers that didn't start were Josh Walker and Stephen Lou Allen.
There's your 42 cars that raced tonight. We've got our winner to talk to here, Matt Grunberg. Congratulations on your win. What were you thinking that very long, dreadful last couple of restarts there with all the green-white checkers?
Well, honestly, I just hope that we can make it to the white flag, so it'd be over there on that first restart, so we wouldn't have to go through, like 5 minutes of pacing each time. But the few wrecks on the first 2 green-white checkers definitely drug the race out and really built the anticipation for the final one. And good thing we didn't have unlimited. We might have been here all night. But it was a pretty fun race, and just glad we were able to be in the lead when the last caution came out. Would have liked to race it out, but I guess it's how things go sometimes.
We knew coming into this track, such a wide, flat, fast track with this current NASCAR package and the way they drive would be interesting to watch. A lot of pack racing. No one got a better view of that than you, though, who started way back at 38th. Talk about coming up to the field with all of this pack racing and all the close quarters action.
Yeah, I mean, the package, it makes it a lot of fun when you're racing around other guys. You can really use multiple lanes to get by since there's not just one dominant lane here. And, the track being really wide, there's multiple ways past everyone. So it made it a little bit easier to come up through the field, I think. But, a couple of close calls with some wrecks in the back. But other than that, I think it was a lot of fun.
I'm sure you're looking to add more, but this was your first win of the season here in round 3. Hopefully, we'll be able to show more of your wins later on in the season and talk to you again. But before we let you go tonight, is there anyone you want to give a thank you or a shout out to?
Just Austin for, painting the car. He does a really good job on the paint schemes. So, that's about it. But thanks to you guys for broadcasting as well. Really enjoy going back and watching the race afterwards. So,
all right. Well, we appreciate that, and you'll when you go back, you'll hear us talk about how we complimented your car in the middle of the race. So, beautiful car and a beautiful race you just drove there, and we will hopefully talk to you later.
Awesome. Thank you.
That was Matt Grunberg there, your race winner tonight from Auto Club Speedway. Sam, you have caught up with another one of our podium finishers. This one, the driver who finished second, Jeffrey McClintock.
Yeah, Jeffrey, you got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, well, congrats on a strong finish out there today. It's a shame you weren't able to run Grunberg, for the finish under green there. What was your plan if it had gone green? Do you think you could have got it?
Yeah, what I was trying to do there was get a run on him down the backstretch, and I think I did there with 2 laps to go. Unfortunately, the caution came out there. It was a shame we didn't get to race it out, but solid night all in all. Had some fun. You could run all over the track, and it was a pretty good night.
Early on in the race, we were seeing everyone come down pit road, even if you just ran 2 or 3 laps of green flag running. Were the tires going off that quickly? What was the reason for that?
Oh yeah, the tire wear tonight was brutal. After just a couple laps, you'd start to get really tight in traffic, and tires were definitely important all night.
So on the flip side of that, how valuable was track position? Because a lot of drivers who finished up front started at the back, but you started 5th.
Yeah, track position was huge too. It's definitely tough to pass, but if you had tires on somebody, you could definitely make something happen.
Well, you played your cards well today with a good qualifying and a good finish. Shame you weren't able to get the win, but sounds like you're pretty happy with the result.
Yeah, good night. Be happy with how it went.
All right. Well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Jeffrey, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
All right, thank you.
That was Jeffrey McClintock there, finishing second place in that number 5 car. We've got one more driver to talk to. It is the driver of the number 19 who finished third place. It is Brandon Jackson.
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going pretty good, but how about yourself? Just coming home from a long hour and a half race there. Lots of cautions, lots of attrition. Talk us through the nerves. Another driver who started in the back, 37th, and you find your way all the way up in third at the end.
It was just very, very hard to get up to the top 10 tonight. With the cautions just coming as frequent as they were, kind of just got to play your cards right. About first half of the race, I was just minding my own business, just trying to ride in the back. And about 20 laps ago, I decided to start making my way forward. Then I made an oopsie and sped on pit road, so I had to go back to the back. And then I got lucky with a couple big wrecks that happened towards the front, and just kind of pick and chose if I wanted to come down pit road or not, and played my cards right.
Yeah, and speaking of pit road, we saw you came into the pits actually 9 times tonight, which was surprisingly not as much as some people. We had some guys nearing 20 pit stops. So were tires a big issue? Looks like a lot of guys were sliding all over the track. It's a bumpy track, but for a 60 lap, well, it turned out to be a 74 lap race. Still seemed like drivers were pitting an awful lot.
Yeah, we were pitting almost every caution, but as the race grew on, I kind of understood that you can't keep it, all the way down. You got to lift in traffic, and if you can lift, and if you can put your left sides like right on that white line or just underneath it, it can help rotate the car. I really didn't have that much of a problem with the tire wear as other guys did, just because I was lifting and just trying to feel where the car wanted to go and not kind of like force it where I want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see you in the points standings. Are you racing for a championship this year, or just coming in to run a couple races and have some fun?
I missed the first couple weeks due to moving to college, but now that I'm here, I have all the time in the world to race. So as you can see, I can do a pretty good performance and get good finishes. So let's see where this can take me.
Awesome. Sounds good. Hopefully we get to see you back on the broadcast, and good luck in college, and congratulations on your podium finish tonight.
Appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the show.
We did indeed. It was fantastic as always. That was your driver there in the number 19, Brandon Jackson, coming home in third place. And that's going to do it for this broadcast tonight. We want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out tonight for the third round of the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series presented by Shine MSD, especially everyone who helps in the organization and behind the scenes logistics over at SR4MH. An additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde, who does provide our music. See the screen for more on how to get more of their great work. Thanks to the team tonight, Sam, Joe, and Dougie. Make sure you check out the GSRC on social media. We have a website, globalsimracingchannel.com. We have Twitter at GSR Channel. Our Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and our Instagram is at GSRC_Graham. Of course, you're also at our YouTube channel right now. If you haven't done so already, scroll down just a little bit and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second of racing. That's going to do it for the racing tonight here in the Sim Racers for Mental Health Cup Series, but they are going to be back on track tomorrow night in the trucks for an annual non-points event. It's a special event for this series and these drivers. It's the Trucks at Talladega. It's the Mental Health Awareness 250, and we've got that covered for you here live on GSRC. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast tonight, and until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.